Welcome back to Outside Views, and today we're tackling a question that is kinda less about politics and more about delusion. Does the new far-left British party, the Your Party, really think it has a chance to change the direction of a country that is currently galloping rightward? And my strong personal view is that Your Party is an entirely predictable, yet ultimately tragic failure of political timing, of ideological purity and personal leadership, and that its only real effect will be to further dilute and marginalize the voice of the progressive left in Great Britain. This is a party built on the ghost of a leader who failed spectacularly, and it is now being suffocated by the very toxic and chaotic culture that defines its founders. The context for this launch is utterly brutal for a socialist movement. For years, the political center of gravity in the UK has been moving inexorably to the right. And we have seen the rise of Reform UK, the far-right party led by Nigel Farage, which is now polling nationally at over 30%, a staggering figure that overturns the entire traditional two-party system. And this momentum is not theoretical. Reform UK won an absolute majority in local elections in parts of Kent, the very region where Your Party is attempting to organize its base. The right is mobilized, it's energized and visible, drawing huge numbers to the streets and dominating the public conversation around core issues like migration, as wrong as that might be. And against this backdrop, the sitting Labour government, led by Prime Minister Keir Starmer, has reacted with fear and pragmatism, driving the party itself further right, exemplified by the recent passing of what is being called the most restrictive immigration law in generations. Labour is currently polling at a mere 17%, a shocking decline that speaks to the loss of confidence across the political spectrum. And this is the political wasteland into which Your Party, founded by former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn and former Labour MP Sarah Sultana, held its founding congress. The party's founding document declares its ideology in bold and almost utopian terms. Your Party is a democratic and socialist party standing for peace, equality, social justice and international solidarity. They are explicitly trying to capture the energy from the pro-Palestine movement that mobilized hundreds of thousands over the summer, as well as the deep localized anger over economic decay and privatization, felt in places like Medway, that's a former industrial hub where nearly a third of children live in poverty. At a local meeting in Medway, members speak passionately about the wounds of deindustrialization and the need to rebuild their community, focusing on the devastating cost of living, low wages in the service and care sectors, and the visible rise of far-right street activism. And they correctly identify the profound political crisis facing the UK, where 3 conservative governments collapsed in 3 years, and now the 2 main parties are both hemorrhaging support, leaving a vacuum for the far right. But the crucial problem is not a lack of interest. As one local organizer noted, the problem of Your Party is not the lack of interest, but the party itself. From the moment of its announcement, the party has been a scene of unending catastrophic internal conflict, immediately undermining its stated mission of unity. And co-founder Sarah Sultana boycotted the first day of the founding congress in protest over the exclusion of activists alleged to be members of other far-left groups, and that's a sign that the party is already sacrificing potential members for ideological purity. And worse still, the 2 stars of the British left, Corbyn and Sultana, have been at each other's throats almost continuously since the party's formation was announced. Sultana has publicly accused the Corbyn camp of maintaining a sexist boys' club and systematically sidelining her, a damning and toxic accusation that is destroying any sense of trust and professionalism. The conflict has been so destructive that 2 of the 4 independent MPs who initially pledged support have already withdrawn. And most absurdly, the founders are currently squabbling over an estimated £800,000 in early donations, with Sultana allegedly hiding the funds from the Corbyn faction. This is not how you launch a serious challenge to the political status quo. It's a self-immolation, a spectacle of personal feuding that proves the new party is just as chaotic and internally hostile as the old Labour Party was under its founders. And this chaos is causing immediate leakage of potential support, with comments on social media urging people to leave the Your Party dream and go to the Greens. The Green Party, long marginalized, is now experiencing an upswing, polling almost neck and neck with the collapsing Labour and Conservative parties. With is a shock for me personally, you know that. But there is a key difference. The Greens have a new young socialist leader, Zach Polanski, who is expressing solidarity with the very movements your party seeks to champion, but without the bickering. And the Greens are seen as a cohesive, functional alternative for the disillusioned progressive voter, particularly in the academic and educated middle-class milieu. And that is the same thing here in Germany. You know how much I disagree with the political views of the Greens. But I have to give them one thing. They are, here in Germany, for example, one of the best organized parties with a very good strategy in communication to the outside. I fight them in a lot of places. But I have to give them that. And your party, through claiming roots in the trade unions and the traditional working class movement, is failing to consolidate that base because its internal squabbles are drowning out its political message. And the message that the party desperately needs to convey, a coherent alternative vision for the UK, might it be as wrong from my point of view as it may be, this is being entirely lost in the noise of a leadership feud over money and power. And the final fatal blow to your party's potential is its total lack of electoral viability under the UK's current political structure. The British political system is designed around first past the post and inherently favors two major parties. Third parties, particularly new, highly localized ones like this, are functionally incapable of winning seats outside a few highly specific, already held constituencies, which their founders now hold as independents. The ultimate outcome of your party's attempt to challenge Labour from the left will not be a victory for socialism. It will be a splitting of the progressive vote in key marginal seats that could, in a twisted irony, help the far-right Reform UK, or there's always a place for fantasies, a rejuvenated Tory party to secure a win. And in the face of a rising right-wing tide that is mobilizing with stop immigration, start deportation, and mobilizing these demonstrators in the streets of Kent, the progressive left's response is to splinter into warring, disorganized factions. And into the extremist left, to be honest. But that is not a recipe for political success, it's a blueprint for strategic failure. The movement correctly identifies the wounds in society, the chaos, the poverty, the rise of the far right, but its solution is to apply a tiny, fractured and self-destructive political bandage that will simply fall off on the first day of an election campaign. The founders of your party are fighting the last war, living in the shadow of their past failures, and their present political project is doomed to fail. And if you want to know more, the next video is right here in the end screen.